Greetings fellow guitar travellers, it's Rowan J Parker here presenting to you the final episode of the 200 Club, bringing you the very best and ridiculous, face-melting, scorching, alternate picking licks all played at 200 beats a minute. And we've got an absolutely belting final lick for you today. Hope you enjoy it very much. Before we get into showing the lick, I'd like to encourage you to have a look at my website, which is www.rowanjparker.com. There's tons of free and very cool guitar stuff on that site. And there's a bunch of lessons, and there is backing tracks you can solo over and download. There is a shop where you can buy things if you're interested. All available for instant download at very reasonable prices. If you're interested in Skype lessons, I do lessons over Skype, and there's details on the website showing you how to get more information about them. And I should also say, if you subscribe to my website just by sticking your email address in the subscribe box and hitting subscribe, if you do that, you get access to a free and exclusive area of the website just for subscribers, which has got even more cool stuff on it. So it's a no-brainer, subscribe to the site, it's very cool. Alright, well, enough of that, let's get straight into today's lesson, the final episode of the 200 Club, so let's rock! Okay, well, we hope you enjoyed that piece of ridiculous silliness, and let's get straight down to showing you how to play the lick. It is a 16-note repetitive cyclical figure that moves through two separate scale fragments. So what I will do is I will first of all show you how to play these scale fragments before showing you the pattern. So here is the first fragment, let's have a listen. And then the second fragment. So just giving you the verbal tab for first fragment, fragment 1. We've got low E, 10, 12, 14, A, 10, 12, 14, D, 11, 12, 14, and G, 11, 12, 14. And it's an incredibly straightforward part of a D Ionian or D major scale, incredibly common 3-note per string figure, and I'm sure you've played that before. Now all we do for the second fragment is repeat these same notes but an octave higher. I call this idea split octave mirrors just because it sounds cool. So here is fragment 2, sounds like this one, which is D12, 14, 16, G, 12, 14, 16, B, 14, 15, 17, and high E, 14, 15, 17, okay? So we put the two fragments together, we're going to get this. Very straightforward indeed. So get those fragments under your fingers, and as soon as you do, we'll look at the next part of the video where we show you the pattern. So let's do that. Okay, so you've got the fragments down now, I hope. Let's just get straight into the pattern. It's an incredibly simple pattern, 16 notes long, but it really just ascends up and back. So here is our first 16 note fragment. Nothing to it really, incredibly prosaic, I'm sure you'll agree. So let's listen again. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 notes long. Amazing, I can in fact count up to 16. There we go. So let's give you the verbal tab for this first 16 note group. Alright, so we've got low E, 10, 12, 14, A, 10, 12, 14, 12, 10, then back to low E, 14, 12, 10, 12, 14, back to A, 10, 12, 14. So very simple. As I've said repeatedly throughout all these licks, that when you play them at a slow tempo they sound incredibly boring and not particularly inspiring at all, but once you get them up to a good tempo they start to sound incredibly impressive and aggressive. So stick with them and they will pay you dividends. So let's move on now to the second 16-note fragment. Here we go. Which is A, 10, 12, 14, D, 11, 12, 14, 12, 11, back to A, 14, 12, 10, 12, 14, and back to D, 11, 12, 14. So let's have a listen. Straightforward, n'est-ce pas? Alright, let's move along again to the next 60-note group. Here it is. Okay, very straightforward. We've got D, 11, 12, 14, G, 11, 12, 14, 12, 11, and then back to D, 14, 12, 11, 12, 14, back to G, 11, 12, 14. Now that concludes the fragments in the first half, so if we bunch them all together and play them consecutively, you should be able to hear how the thing should sound at a reduced tempo. Okie dokie, so that will be the first half, so let's move along and look at the second half now. Now if you've got to this stage and you're panicking about the huge amount of verbal tab I'm giving out, and admittedly there are a lot of notes, and thinking there's no way I can follow all this, it's all going by too quick, well, number one, you can watch the video again, which is always a good idea, or alternatively, you can visit the subscriber area of my website where I'll be supplying the tab for all the 200 Club lessons absolutely free. So it's another good reason to subscribe to the website. There, got the plug in. Right, so let's move along to the second half, and it sounds like this. Now, as is probably obvious, this is really just exactly the same as the first half, but up one octave. But nevertheless, I will go ahead and give you the verbal tab for it in any case. So here we go, starting on D12, goes D12, 14, 16, G, 12, 14, 16, 14, 12, back to D, 16, 14, 12, 14, 16, and G, 12, 14, 16. And on to the next fragment. Let's have a listen. Sounds like this one, which is G, 12, 14, 16, B, 14, 15, 17, 15, 14, back to G, 16, 14, 12, 14, 16, back to B, 14, 15, 17. Okie dokie, home stretch now. So on the top two strings, B and E, we have B, 14, 15, 17, high E, 14, 15, 17, 15, 14, back to B, 17, 15, 14, 15, 17, high E, 14, 15, 17, and then finally moving up. Play that B note on high E number 19, and that will conclude the entire run. So if I just play you the second half at a reduced tempo, we can have a listen. Sounds like this. Straightforward really. Let's put both halves together now at a reduced tempo so you can see the whole thing done slowly. Here we go. And there we go, that's it. See, it's not that hard after all. Okay, so let's listen to it played one more time up to the ferocious 200 BPM tempo, and inevitably, let's rock! Well, that concludes the final episode of the 200 Club. We hope you've enjoyed learning these 6 outrageous licks and you've managed to get them together, and it's really helped to improve your alternate picking chops. So we're going to be putting the alternate picking away for a little bit. We've got a new series starting next week which is called I Love Legato. I wonder what that's about. Well, tune in next week and you can find out. So, Just to remind you to have a look at my website, www.roundjparker.com, and if you're interested in one-to-one help, Skype lessons, you can contact me via the website and I will give you all the information. Other things you might be interested in checking out, I've got a Facebook page, Round J Parker, which you can like if you like. I'm also on SoundCloud at Round-Parker, and all my backing tracks are downloadable, absolutely free on SoundCloud, so if you want to get improvising, there's a whole ton of stuff on SoundCloud as well. I'm also on Twitter, if you want to follow me on Twitter, but frankly I detest Twitter, so don't bother. Yeah, so thanks very much for watching. It's been a blast showing you all this stuff, and I'll see you on the next lesson, which is episode 1 of I Love Legato. So as ever, keep rocking. Farewell.